Okay, for part 3, we will have more questions to talk about, the same amount almost, like the previous two videos. For what two purposes does the Ethernet protocol use a physical address? Why would the technology use a MAC address? To uniquely identify devices. For what two purposes? There is no choose to here. This is just a bad typing, but it should be choose to. Okay, so to uniquely identify devices at layer 2, yes. To allow communications with devices on a different network, this will be using an IP address, not the physical one, the logical one. To differentiate a layer 2 frame from a layer 3 packet, I know, it's already encapsulated. It's not separated. To establish a priority system to determine which device gets to transmit first. No. To allow communication between different devices on the same network if all of them were in the same broadcast domain. I'm sorry, it wasn't broadcast domain. It was called. I have forgotten about the term because it was removed from this new course. The network domain, the broadcast domain, collision domain, the same collision domain, all of them under the same layer with no routers, then max will be enough to communicate and allow detection of a remote device when its physical address is unknown. No. Okay, so that would be A and E for this question. Definitely correct. 56. Which command is used to display the collection of OSPF link states? Where the OSPF saves its LSAs in an LS database. We have talked a lot about that in chapter 3. So show IP OSPF database, this one will show you all the collection of LSAs stored inside one single database, and those databases are of one area only. Refer to the exhibit. Router C router. Yeah, this question, yeah, very good question. Is to be used as an ROIS, router on a stick. This router here, it's one router connected to one stick. Okay, this is the meaning. To route between those three VLANs, all the interfaces have been properly configured. Everything is operating. The hosts in the VLAN have been configured with the appropriate default gateway. What is true then? Okay, so in this router I have three sub interfaces. By the way, if you have no idea about what this is, then in the Mega Lab series, lab number 1, starting like from minute 40 or 45 of the lab, there will be a complete implementation and description and discussion about this question, okay, about this lab of this type of thing of router on a stick. So I would definitely advise you, if you are curious about that, because most of the companies are still using router on a stick right now, so you will need to see that. Okay, I have worked in an ISP before, and it has been always a router on a stick because it's very important to use. Okay, so you would need to check that lab. Okay, so there are three sub interfaces. Each one of them is a gateway for each VLAN, and everything is normal. So you would need to specify EIGRP for these three VLANs to communicate? No, by default all of these three will be able to communicate once router on a stick operates normally without a protocol. No protocol, no protocol, no protocol. I do not need RIP, OSPF, EIGRP, static route, nothing. Okay, so no further config is required, believe me. And you will see that configured already and tested in the lab of the Mega Labs. A user configured OSPF in a single area between two routers, a serial interface connecting R1 and 2, and it's running by using the encapsulation of TPP. TPP, which is point-to-point protocol, is one of the important subjects of WAN, wide area networks, which was completely removed from the new CCNA. But whenever there was an interface that is encapsulated with the TPP, and later it was using OSPF, then that OSPF will be OSPF type PPP, OSPF point to point. Okay. Otherwise, it depends on the topology and design of your network and other layer 2 or layer 2.5 logical protocols that were used in them that will specify it's a non-broadcast, broadcast, point to multipoint, NBMA, and so on. all of those had been removed from the CCNA. Okay. Which address and mask represents a summary of the routes learned by EIGRP. Route summarization, yes, has been removed, but I will tell you about it. I have 192.168.25 and I have 192, yeah, by EIGRP only. So those guys only those 4 guys were advertised by EIGRP. The smaller one is 16, 192, 168, 50, 25, I'm sorry, 16. The biggest one will be 28, 168, 25, 28. What we need, one subnet that replaces those 4, and inside that subnet and its mask, the amount of IP addresses are enough for those 4, so it can replaces those 4 and represent the same amount of addresses. Okay, so this would be done by a big complicated method that was removed from the CCNA to the CCNP, but briefly it would be from 16 to 20 and 4 addresses, from 20 to 24 4 addresses, from 24 to 28 4 addresses, and maybe 28 is also using 4 addresses, so that will be 4 addresses by 4, and they use, or they need at least a subnet that represents or includes 16 address. 16 incremental value of 16, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, etc. If I wish to make 16 as the increment value, then I would need a lease line on its right side to make this one as the IV, the increment value. And since the line is here, whatever on the right of the line will become zeros, 0, 0, 0, 0. So that will be /28 because it contains 28 ones and 4 zeros. So which of these guys is a 28? 240 is a 28 /28, not this one. 240 /28, not this one. 240 /28, not this one. The difference is someone that starts with them. So it's either .25.0 to 25.0. If it was /28, then it will end at .25.15. Can't write that by subnetting. Okay. .25.16 starts from 16 and ends 16 number of the after that, so that would be 31. Yep. Thank you. And .28 starts from 28. So 16, 24, 20 will be useless here. So not you at all. Okay, so that will definitely be C, the address that we need. And otherwise, then we need a pen and a paper and a ton of work, handwork, to represent the same address. A network associate means an engineer, a certified engineer, has configured OSPF with the command network, this wildcard mask, area 0. Okay, good job. After completing the config, the associate discovers that not all the interfaces are participating in OSPF. Then, which 3 interfaces are participating according to the config? Well, you have a lot of interfaces. Most of them have IP addresses that are up and running, no problem. So which of these addresses will be advertised by OSPF? Whatever IP address that is part of this network that has been advertised. This network is 192.168.12.64, and it's slash, this is the wildcard mask. To invert a wildcard mask to a subnet mask, you will need the equation of 255 minus each octet. So 255 minus 0 will be 255. Dot 255 minus the second one, which is 0, will be 255. Dot 255 minus, this is a dot. 255 minus, this is not working correctly, isn't it? Yeah, okay, anyway. 255 minus a third 0 will be 255, and 255 minus 63 3 will be 192. Changing that to binary will be ones, 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 2 ones and 6 zeros, so it will be slash 26. Okay, slash 26 gives about not 120, gives about 64 valid IP address. Yep. So this will start from 192.168.12.64 and it will ends about 64 number after that up to 127, an odd number representing the broadcast ID of this network. Whatever address of these guys is in between this range, then it will be advertised definitely. So .12.48 is before that, I'm sorry, .65, yeah, fast Ethernet 01, 121, yep, correct, this one is unassigned, leave it, .125, yes, in the range, 129, no, 133, no. So my three interfaces will be fast Ethernet 01, serial 00, subinterface serial 001.102, BCD. Okay, I hope that it is okay. Okay, question 61. A network admin is troubleshooting OSPF config on R1 and R2. They cannot establish adjacency, unfortunately. The graphic shows the output of the command show IP OSPF interface Ethernet 0 for both of them. What is the cause? Okay, so the interface is up, no problem. The IP address is this one in area 0. The IP address is this one in area 0. Thank you. A process ID, it's 1, 2, no problem. It can be mismatched as long as the area are matching. We are good. Router ID should be mismatched. This one is different. We are good. Same type of network broadcast, both of them. Same type of cost. Cost does not affect that. Okay, that is good. Delay the same. Designated router will not affect that. And the hello timer is 5. This has been changed, and here it's 10, which is the default. Yeah, I've talked about that in the previous video. The hello intervals and the dead intervals should be matching between the two routers, and if it was not matching, then neighbor adjacency will not happen. Okay, so OSPF is configured properly. Cost will not affect that. Hello and dead terms are not configured properly. Yes, yeah, that is the only one that we can use. That will be D. Okay, question 62. Refer to the exhibit. R1 is unable to establish an OSPF relationship with R3. Why? Why, and why? When you see this pipe, this means that there are some connections in the way, some switches, multiple switches. Okay, 3 routers. It might be, choose 2. All of the routers needs to be configured for backbone area 1. If all of the routers were in area 1, I'm sorry, backbone area 1, there is nothing called backbone area 1. Backbone will always be area 0. R1 and R2 are a DR and a BDR, so OSPF will not establish with R3. No, unlike that, whenever there is a DR and a BDR, they will definitely establish full adjacency with all the other routers. Okay, so this is nonsense. A static route has been configured from R1 to R3 and prevents neighbor adjacency. Okay, if there was an OSPF config, static route config, the OSPF will do neighbor adjacency completely, correct, no problem. But the route will not be installed. The route of OSPF will not be installed in the routing table. Only the static route will be installed. So this will not affect neighbor adjacency. Be careful. Be very careful. Okay. Hello and dead interval timers are not set to the same values on R1 and R3. Definitely correct. Can that be? Can that be? Yeah, that can be. Yeah, why not? Because if this one was advertising a hello timer of 5, and on this certain interface it's on 5, from another interface it's 10 to 10, there will be a problem. Yeah, it should be matching mostly. Okay, or an EIGRP is configured with these routers with a lower AD. So what? This will affect the routes to be installed in a routing table, not the neighbor relationship. Finally, R1 and R3 are configured in different areas. Absolutely. That is a possible reason to do that. Okay, so that would be DNF for question number 62. Question number 63. Given the output of the command, which is show IP OSPF, show IP interface brief, the router ID, if the router ID has not been set manually, what will be the router ID? Three rules for the OSPF router ID. Number one, a manually specified router ID, which is not in this case because it's not set. Number two, the highest configured loopback address. Number three, with the absence of loopback addresses, then it will be the highest configured interface IP address. Okay, so here I have interfaces, physical interfaces, and a loopback interface. So leave the physical, take the biggest loopback address, not the biggest loopback number, the biggest loopback address, which is 172. It's up and running, so this one will be chosen. Loopback 0, 172.16.51. Okay, I hope that it is okay. When running EIGRP, what is required for router A to exchange routing updates with router C? Mostly will not see such question because EIGRP is not in the scope of your study, but just in case you did the exam. Then let's see. This guy is saying router EIGRP with autonomous system number 100 and is advertising to networks, correct? This guy is using a router EIGRP with a different ASN. This is a disaster. They should be matching. So this is the error. And it's advertising one network which represents both the arms. So no problem, but this is a problem. And even the third one is using a third different AS. So each one of them will not do neighbor adjacency with each other one of them, okay? Because all of them must be under the same autonomous system number in EIGRP. In BGP, they can be different. In EIGRP, they should be matching. So AS numbers must be changed to match all the routers, definitely, okay? 65. Which rule does the DHCP server use when there is an IP address conflict? Your router is acting as a DHCP server, and inside it there is a pool of addresses, and there are some excluded addresses that should not be given to specific devices or to the devices. So what happens if the guy indicated or has been reported to that some of the addresses in your pool are being already used in other devices in the network and by another engineer? So if you did advertise or if you did offer the same address to another device and it's already used here by another engineer, there will be some duplication, disaster. So what will this guy do? That it will remove those two, it will deactivate those or exclude those addresses until the problem has been solved. Okay, the address will be removed from the pool until the conflict is solved. Yeah. 66. A network technician should be certified as a Cisco certified entry level network technician. Has been removed. This certificate has been deleted right now. Okay, a network technician is asked to design a small network with a bit of redundancy. It represented this design with all hosts configured in the same VLAN, no problem. What conclusions can be made about this design? Okay, let's see. So those three guys are in the default VLAN number 1. Those four guys are in the default VLAN number 1. So all the 7 of them the same. No VLANs, only the default VLAN. This is going back to an interface here. This is an IP address, no problem until now. This is an IP address. Okay, so this IP address represents the gateway for these guys. This IP address represents the gateway for these guys. This link is useless because if this link goes down, then what's the redundancy here? If those hosts cannot go this way up to this interface. Why? Because this is not their default gateway. So this link is useless. You can use it only when the two devices are communicating. Maybe, yeah, okay, as a layer 2 maybe. Only, that's it. But this is a useless. So this is number one. This is a bad thing. Number two, just in case you have noticed, this guy should recertify himself. 1.1, 1.2. Two interfaces in a router, both of them resides in the same broadcast domain. Impossible. This should be at least 2.1, not .1.2. So this is a disaster. Yeah, there is no such configure at all. Okay, so the design will function? No. Spanning tree will be needed? No, as long as there are some layer 3 interfaces, we don't need spanning tree. The router not accept the addressing scheme? Yes, because this is incorrect. The connection between switches, I don't care about it because all of them are resides in VLAN 1. We do not need a trunk. The router interface must be encapsulated with .1q. No, because there are no trunking nor VLANs, so only the addressing schemes should be fixed at least in the beginning to make this design functions. What benefit does a controller based SDN guy provide versus a traditional network? A. It moves from a 2-tier to a 3-tier network. No, this is already there in the traditional networks. It provides an added layer of security. This does not affect security. I've talked a lot about that in chapter 7. Allows config and monitoring of the network from one centralized port. Yes, big yes, a big yes. Okay. Combines control and data plane? No, it separates control plane from data plane and migrates the control plane to itself. So it will become the control plane of the entire network, of the entire nodes. Okay, nodes, NODES. Okay, 68. A network engineer must create a diagram of a multi-vendor network, some routers from Cisco, from some firewalls from Juniper, some multi-layer switches from Huawei, some maybe switches from Arista or routers from Nokia, etc. No, Nokia. Yeah, right now I would sell a Nokia phone and buy a Nokia router or change. Okay, which command must be configured on a Cisco device so that the topology of the network can be mapped? Which protocol does map the network or discover your neighbors? The CDP, correct? But CDP works on Cisco devices only. And if you have some multi-vendor network, then you will need the other open standard guy, LLDP. And by default, LLDP is disabled in Cisco's devices, so you'll need to hit the command LLDP run, which is this one, to enable LLDP to operate and contact or communicate with the other devices regarding the exchanging of of the information between them. Discovery. What are two descriptions of a 3-tier network? You know that when there is a core connected to distribution or aggregation that is connected to the access layer and so on. Okay, so the core and distribution perform the same function? No. The distribution is about fast convergence from the access to the core. The core is about internet and data center and servers and so on. This is completely different. The access layer manages the routing. No, mostly the access layer is a layer 2, not about routing. The network core is designed to maintain continuous connectivity when devices fail. Definitely will find a ton of redundancy in the network core. The core maintains wired connection for each host. A host means n devices here in your network. IP phones, cameras. So the core will be connected in a wire to those. No, it will be very far. The access one will be doing that. Okay, so that will be incorrect. The distribution layer runs at layer 2 and the layer 3 technologies. Yes, this is the distribution guy. It's communicating using layer 2 with the access at the same time using layer 3 with the core. I need a breath. Yeah, so that will be CCNA. Question 70. What is the expected outcome when EUI64 address is generated? I have did that back in chapter 1. I have did that in a non-completed way. Not incorrect, it's definitely correct, but it was a missing one command because EUI64, I have lost my pen, unfortunately. Okay, EUI64 have two types of modifications. The first method was called the mapped MAP EUI64. You see when I use my mouse, it's a disaster. Okay, a mapped EUI64, and that is the way or the method that I used back in chapter 1. So when I noticed that this method is missing, needing only an extra line to make it the modified EUI64, then I have placed a note below the description of the video. If you allow me, check with that pen. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I need to tie it with a rope next time. Okay, so the modified method says that just before you start your process of creating or generating an IPv6 address from a MAC, then take that MAC, split it into half, then take the first half, this guy, let's hope that it's a 01CE colon 1D, take these first two, convert them to binary, they will generate to you an 8-bit, go to the 7th bit digit. If it was 0, convert it to 1. If it was 1, convert it to 0. Okay, and then reconvert it back to an hexadecimal. It will be like maybe 0.03 or whatever, and then proceed with the method of FE80 double colon first half, FFFE the second half, and so on. So the 7th bit of an original MAC address of the interface is inverted. Yes, yeah, that is correct. Okay, and that is the thing that I have missed saying back in chapter 1, but I did place a note below. 71. Which function does an SNMP agent perform? If you have a router that is connected to some SNMP server, which is called the Network Monitoring System, NMS, then inside your router, when you enable SNMP, you will have two elements. The MIB object, which collects and generates traps and notification about the status of the device, and then it will be moved or sent to the other half of the router, which is called the SNMP agent, which this one the only allowed guy to communicate with the server. Okay, so the SNMP agent sends information about MIB variables. A response to the request from the NMS, definitely correct. This is what I'm saying. It coordinates the user authentication between a network device and the server. AAA server, no. It requests, no. It manages routing, no. Okay, so only is A is the only correct answer here. R1 has learned this route via numerous protocols. What it will do, if you learn a lot of routes, the same route from different resources, all of them were equal in the longest match term, the subnet mask, then who will win? Definitely, according to chapter 3, the one with the lower administrative distance. Okay, the one with the cost, with the next hop, with the shortest prefix length, with the lowest AD, since all of them are equal. If they were different, then the one with the most specific prefix matching will win. That will be different case. Okay, so 73. When will we end today? Let's see. What is a characteristic of spine and leaf? Spine and leaf. A couple of spines maybe, and let's hope that we have both 4 leaves. The general rule of a 3-stage pod says that every leaf should be connected to all the available spines. Every leaf should be connected to all the spines. Every leaf should be connected to all the spines. Every leaf should be connected to all the spines. No spine-spine connection, never. No leaf-to-leaf connection at all. Whenever a spine wanted to communicate, whenever there is a device that wanted to communicate with another device here, then it will be a leaf, spine, leaf, or a leaf, spine, leaf. It will always be a 3 stage, leaf, spine, leaf. Okay, so each device is separated by the same number of hops. This is what I'm saying, that this device is separated from this device by 3 steps to reach it, or this device is separated from this guy by 1 2 3, okay, or 1 2 3 to reach it. This will always be the same amount of hops. Okay, so it will be A. It provides variable latency. No latency in data center should be fixed and known in milliseconds. It should not change. Provides greater predictability on a spanning tree. No spanning tree is needed in a spinal leaf. Each link between leaf switches allow for a higher bandwidth between leaf switches. There will be no link between leaf switches. Okay, because there is no connection between them. Yeah. So 74. Which action must be taken to assign a global unicast IPv6 address to an interface that is derived from a MAC? The idea here will be, if you have a router and this may be fast Ethernet 00 interface, you have entered to this interface and issue the command IPv6 enable. Enter. What you'll have is an EUI64 address that will be automatically generated from its MAC, and we did that in chapter 1. Okay, and I believe also in chapter 3 maybe or such. The question is, if this interface is already have a link local address, how can I assign a global unicast IPv6? Then you will need to enable the stateful addressing of Slack. Okay, Dhcp is not something here to do because I'm doing that manual by myself. Disable EUI, no problem, no, you can leave it. And explicitly assign a link local, no. Okay, that will be B. Okay, hopefully that it is. 75. R1 is running 3 different routing protocols, DOR. Which route characteristic is used by the route to forward the packet that it receives for this destination? Okay, so which one of those guys will be elected to take this responsibility? You can notice that maybe the screen is not really clear. This one is /27, /19, /24. Just like I've mentioned 2 minutes ago, if all the subnet masks were equal, then we will take the lower AD of the protocols, different protocols. If the subnet masks were different, then the one with the biggest subnet mask with the most or the longest match term will win. But it should of course include that address .1. So the biggest one here is /27, and /27 is a network of 172.16.32.0, so it does include this address in it, and it's the most specific one, so it will win, and it is a D. And you can see, even if all of the 3 had the same subnet mask, then D will also win because it has the lower AD, the lowest AD between them, so it will always win. So the guy with the longest match here wins. ERGRP. 76 says R1 must send all traffic without a matching routing entry to this guy. Which config does that? I hope that you did catch the idea here that says without a matching routing table entry. What does that mean? No air conditioning for today, fortunately. Okay. Yeah, so what does that mean? In your routing table, there is an entry that has no matching route. Show IP route, and this subnet is not mentioned in any route. What will happen? If you focus with me, the default route will handle it. Okay? The default route will handle whatever route that is not advertised by any protocol. Okay, so we would need right now this question a command to specify default route with the next hop of this address. Okay, so IP routing, IP route default route. No, it's not this way. IP route this network to zeros. This is definitely incorrect. IP route zeros.zeros correct with this next hop. That is definitely correct. And IP default gateway. This one, no, this differs. This is for switches. Okay. So this command is the correct command to config a static default route with the next hop of this one. So that would be option C. 27. Which WPA3 enhancement protects against hackers? WPA1 had Dhcp and RC4. In WPA2, AES 256 with CCNP was developed, and WPA3 SAE was developed. Okay, you can see that back in chapter 6 in the Wi-Fi security section. We have talked about that. 78. An engineer is bringing up a new circuit to the MPLS provider on Giga 01. 1% is the possibility of seeing this question in your exam, because MPLS has been removed, eBGP has been removed. This is nonsense. Okay, the idea is that router R1 receives this network from this guy, but by using the new config, the same network was advertised through the internet to the cloud. What will happen in the future? What will happen is that whenever this route receives the subnet from this way, this route R1, it will reply it through the internet. So this is called asymmetrical routing. Okay, asymmetrical route. That will be C. This is really, really complicated and annoying question, and I doubt that you will see it in the exam. Mostly you will never see it. Okay, refer to the exhibit. I'm sorry, this is question 79. Question 79 is missing because there is no exhibit, so we can neglect that. 80. Which two commands were used to create port channel 10? Okay, let's see. This is group 10. This is port channel 10. This is operating up on the layer 2 using switches. The protocol is LACP, so the commands are either active or passive for the ports to become a LACP. And the included guys were 00 and 01, and they are participating. Okay, so interface range gigabit Ethernet 0 to 1. Active, yes, that's correct. This will make one of the interface in this channel group. Desirable will make it PACP. Passive will make it LACP. Auto will make it a PACP. On will make it an R, not an S, but it's an S. It's a switch, not a router. Or a bridge, a B, not a switch. Okay, so A and C will be correct. Option A, option C. Thank you. Okay, let's see how much we will have more. Question 81. What is the difference between radius and TACAX? TACAX is way more preferred than radius because this is your PC and this is the server and this is a router in the network. You would like to access this router by SSH. This router is connected to a AAA server. When you hit your credentials here, the router will send your credentials to this guy, asking it that are those credentials authenticated and what's the authorization of it, and it will reply. If it was a radius, then in this path information will be in clear text and unencrypted. If it was TACAX, then they will be encrypted. Okay, so this is much more preferred. The TACAX will be much more preferred than a radius. Okay, so radius is more appropriate for dial authentication, but TACAX Plus can be used for multiple types of authentication. No, same AAA authentication. TACAX encrypts only the password, and radius encrypts the entire payload. No, this is not what we are talking about. TACAX separates authentication and authorization, and radius merge them. Yeah, I believe so. Radius logs all the command, but TACAX logs some commands. No, TACAX is way better even in logging. So only C can be chosen in this question. Okay. How does the router manage traffic to this destination? Okay, let's see. EIGRP knows about that. /24 it includes that address. RIP is .0/27 increment of 32 IP address, so this one ends with .12.31 included. and slash 28 give you increment value of 16, so it will start at 0 and will end at 15, an odd number for a broadcast ID, so this one does not use that. So I have only two of those two. Which one will win? The HRP, which is the lower ID. Okay, and if you did that, then you did not pay any attention to me, neither in this series nor in the original course. Those are different in subnet masks. Okay, so the longest match wins here, which is unfortunately RIP. It selects the RIP because it has the longest prefix inclusive to the destination. Unfortunately, RIP wins. Okay, this is nonsense. Never choose load balance between different protocols. Yeah, so that will be A. And we are done today. Okay, I hope that was good. I hope that was not a headache or a lot. It's only about 27 or 28 questions per video, and I believe for most or maybe 80% of people or students or colleagues or candidates that I know, this is the average number of questions that they can absorb per day to review, study, or discuss, okay, or even think about in one day. So that would be enough for one day. You can study a part per day. 4 days will be good, and then in 2 days you can study 2 parts every 2 days. So in day number 5 and day number 6 you will review them again, and in day number 7 you can study 100 question in one shot, because it will be like this one, and that's it. Okay, that will be very quick for you. It will be cumulative. Okay, there is another method that I would like to give you a hint about, because when I was studying for the CCNP before, I know a guy that gave me an advice, said that if your ability is to absorb only 20 questions per day, then on day number 1 you will study from question 1 to question 20 in 1 hour. On day 2, start again from question 1 to question 20, review them again. That will take you half the time, about not 1 hour, maybe 30 to 40 minutes, and then start with the new other 20 questions, like from question 20 to 40. On day 3, do it again. Review the previous questions and then start with the new one. On day 5, you will like review the first 80 questions in few minutes and then study a new 20 questions. I did use that. It was really good and beneficial. That was very good for me. And you can choose the way that you like, whatever you like. Okay, so I hope this was good and beneficial for you, and only part 4 is left to be recorded and published for the update or the upgrade bundle of May 2020. Thanks a lot again, and goodbye.